What is the worst movie that Pixar made? And also, I'm going to talk a little bit about why they should quit making so many goddamn sequels, okay? Most people, when you ask them what was the worst movie Pixar ever made, they're going to say Cars 2. And some people might say The Good Dinosaur, but I think it's Finding Dory, okay? This movie sucked. It was pretty much it was like Finding Nemo, except set in the Saw films. I mean, almost the whole movie was set in this muddy, brown aquarium that looked more like a dungeon for fish. It didn't quite even look like an aquarium that you've ever seen. And it's all about escaping from this place. And the first Finding Nemo movie, it's all beautiful ocean scenes with majestic colors and all these interesting creatures and things like that. And pretty much the only new creature that we really see in the Finding Dory is this octopus that can shapeshift. And he's an interesting character, but that's really all. And everything else just felt like they're trying to get money from you. It felt way too similar to Nemo in terms of what the overall plot structure was, and emotionally manipulative, where we lose a character and we find him again, and oh, Dory, and then the second that you see her, she disappears again, and then it just, I don't know, none of it worked. At the end, when an octopus is literally driving an 18-wheeler truck, it felt like some stupid Ronald Reagan with a monkey movie they would have made back in the 80s, where some chimpanzees driving it just didn't even feel like a Pixar movie. It felt more like, the kind of thing that the Ice Age people, the Fox animation studios, it felt more like something that they would do, I think. And I think they made it to make money. Because Cars 2 had the real message when you watch it, when you strip away the spy plot, which is actually pretty good because it's got an environmental message about, other than Wall-E, it's the most environmental kids movie, which all great children's entertainment now should have an environmental message. Whenever I read The Giving Tree to my son, or The Lorax, one of the picture books, it's hard not to be moved by that. So I think a lot of kids entertainment the best picture books have some type of environmental message. Cars 2 is all about giving up fossil fuels. But when you strip it away, really it's about Mater is this bumpkin redneck that everybody thinks is an idiot. Well, he kind of is an idiot in a way. But he goes out in the world and it's all about you don't have to change yourself. Now, people hear that message all the time when you're, a certain person or whatever. Like, there's a lot of messages out there. Pretty much every, whatever entertainment caters to. If you're black or something, it might tell you this. If you're fat, it might tell you this. If you're a woman, it might tell you this. But you don't hear a lot from, like, okay, you live in a red state and you're kind of a bumpkin and you kind of talk like you're an idiot. And usually people like that are fair game. They're like open for mockery. It's okay to make fun of them. And I do it sometimes too. I mean, we all kind of do it. It's a little bit fun. But this is the first, like, you'd almost say redneck empowerment movie ever made, where it's kind of like, no, Mater, you're not a bad guy. You've got a good heart. You've got a better heart than some of the city folk around you or whatever. So it's okay to be yourself. And I've never seen another movie that has that message. Finding Dory doesn't have a message, really, that Finding Nemo did not have, which is that, boy, it sure sucks to be separated from your parents. It's like, so what? But I think Pixar's got to cool it with these sequels, because when you look back and look at all their great films, and they've, 80% of the movies they've made are fantastic. Even something that doesn't quite work, like Cars 2, or I might say The Good Dinosaur, it's still interesting in a way that a lot of movies are not, and I think only Finding Dory's not. Only one I really wouldn't recommend. But their early films that worked so well, Ratatouille, Wall-E, of course the Toy Story first movie and everything, like, they work so well because it's a new world. Half the fun of a Pixar film, you're going under the ocean, or you're going inside the mind of a, preteen girl and all her emotions or whatever. So emotions or oceans or outer space or prehistoric era, you're going into a new world, basically. So world building is half the fun with a Pixar film. And you started seeing Toy Story 2 and Toy Story 3. Now, they worked really well. Those were the only sequels that they had for a long time, and that was great. Maybe they should have left it at that. But now you got The Incredibles 2 coming out. You probably will have a Cars 4. Some people have talked about it Inside Out 2. There's going to be a Toy Story 4, which kind of feels like, okay, yeah, the first two Toy Story sequels, they worked really well, but the third movie felt perfect. It felt like the end of a trilogy. And typically the worst films Pixar has ever made, some people would say Cars 2. I would say Finding Dory. A lot of people would say Monsters University, the prequel to Monsters, Inc. I kind of have a nagging feeling that Incredibles 2 won't be as good as the first one was, and I just feel like we're getting that sequel overload. So I would say stay away from the sequels. Toy Story 3 was fine, don't need a fourth one. I know that's already made, so we're stuck with it. Probably will be a Toy Story 5, but really, like, world building and a whole new place is half the fun of a Pixar film, so stick to that.